Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It depends where you're joining us from. And welcome to a new virtual event organized by Isle of Arran Distillers. My name is Mariella. I work as brand ambassador for Isle of Arran Distillers. And today we organized a very nice event. I have the honor and the pleasure to interview, chat, and drink some whiskeys with James MacTaggart, whiskey legend, our former master distiller, master blender, director of production, I don't know many different titles. And then we also have the chance to say welcome to our brand new Lochranza Distillery Manager, Stewart Bowman, which only joined us a few months ago. So the times, they are changing indeed. As we said in the flyer, we're still the same people, still making the same whiskey, still the same passionate team, but, with new faces. So it's a great opportunity if you have questions, especially for like James that is now going into retirement, and for Stuart that has just joined, our company. Feel free to put them in the comments. Do tell us where you're from. Do tell us where you're tuning in from, and more importantly, what whiskeys you're going to drink while we chat with this lovely gentleman. I don't know if you've ever heard of our White Stag community. I can see some names popping up now, and I hope some White Stags are joining us today. But some very lucky White Stags actually got a hold of the tasting set that we're trying tonight. We're trying some lovely whiskeys tonight, including Arran 10-year-old, including some Arran new make, a mystery cask 16-year-old that was bottled exclusively for the distillery in Lochranza. And at the end of the event, we'll also do a deconstruction of the White Stag Volume 7. So we'll try the preview of the White Stag Volume 7 and then also the casks that go into that volume. So stick around until the end if you want to see what's coming for the White Stags. If you don't know what the White Stags is, if you don't know about the community, feel free to go on our website, arranwhiskey.com. There's a section just dedicated to the community, so you can find out more about this beautiful group of whiskey friends. So you can join us as well. If you don't have, obviously any of these whiskeys, there's no problem. You can join with whatever whiskey you have at home. If it's an Arran, even better. If it's not, there's no judgments whatsoever. So tell us what you're drinking. Without further ado, I think I should get on screen James so that we can actually say hi to him and talk to him a little bit. So here he comes. Hello, James.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm fine, and it was a good choice of music to start with, Mariella.
For those of you that truly enjoyed the rock and roll music at the start, that was carefully chosen by James. So amazing tasty music, we can say. You couldn't see him, but it was totally like head banging in the background of StreamYard. I didn't put him on because I didn't, I didn't want to expose you too much. But we know how much you love rock music, so good choice there.
I've got no hair to be head banging, Mariella.
It's still worth it. It's still great. It's still you should still do it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For joining us today, James. It's a pleasure to actually talk to you again. Last time I saw you, I think it was last year, and then COVID and whatnot, so we didn't have a chance to catch up. So it's great to catch up today.
Good to be here, Mariella.
So without further ado, actually, because you know how much I like to talk, right? Like I talk forever. I'm actually gonna pour myself a little dram so that while we talk, we're also gonna try something. Is that okay?
That's okay.
Yeah. So I chose the whiskey that you actually told me to select for you, which is the Arran 10 years old. I think it's one that, most whiskey fans have at home. It's one of our best sellers. It's one of the best whiskeys we put out there in the world. Would you agree?
I agree. The 10-year-old is something that, when new distilleries start, it's important to me because when new distilleries start, there's an interest in them for the first, the 3-year-old spirit, and then the interest wanes between basically 3-4 years old and 10 years old. It's only when it hits 10-year-old it's seen as being it's an important stage for the company, and that's why the 10-year-old is my favorite, because it means that we became a grown-up company.
I couldn't agree more. I actually always associate this with you as well, because I know how much you worked, in the industry, how much you worked for Isle of Arran Distillers, and this is, I think people agree this is the pinnacle, of our core range at the moment. And if we got here and we got to this level of quality, it's also, and mostly thanks to you.
It's a lovely balance between the new make spirit, the bourbon cask, and the sherry cask. It's a nice balance between them all.
Absolutely. So cheers to you. I'll have a little sip.
Cheers.
Amazing. Never disappoints. Super tasty. Such a good dram. Absolutely wonderful. So actually, let's talk a little bit about you, James. Let's talk a bit about your career. So for those of you at home that don't know you at all, how many years did you work in the industry, and how many years did you work for Isle of Arran Distillers?
I started in the industry in 1975, so I've been basically about this year 45 years in the industry. I started with Arran in 2007. So I've been 14, 15 years with Arran. And I've seen huge. When I started with Arran, it was, what could I say? It was quite a basic company, and it was, what could I say, slightly amateurish. But when you and Mitchell became managing director, myself and Maggie Corn was the financial controller, when the three of us became the executive team, we knew where we were heading for. And we were very, very lucky that the board of directors supported us, and that's how we kept, Arran grew and came to what it is today. So it's not only me. There's a team there that brought us to where we are.
Absolutely, it's always a team, yes. But I think it's also important to highlight, like the people that definitely, made big changes, like the one that you did. So yeah, it's amazing to see how the brand grew. I've only joined 3 years ago, and only in the last 3 years, changes have been insane. But I know there's been a lot of work behind, all those changes that I've seen happening so fast in the last 3 years.
There's been a lot of changes. I mean, from my own point of view, it was very important to get the upgrade of Lochranza done, so that the production levels could rise and meet the future demand for the Arran single malt. And I thoroughly enjoyed that. I mean, designing not designing the stills, but the stills have been designed to make sure that the same stills were replicated the old stills, and upgraded the whole plant, and that was thoroughly enjoyable, because that's something I like doing. And I was and the Lag distillery is the same. I thoroughly enjoyed what happened at Lag and the design of the stills and everything down there. So I had a great time at Arran. Thoroughly enjoyed myself. The ideas I had, the company was happy to accept, and that's a great thing to do. It was thoroughly enjoyed my time at Arran.
That's amazing. That was one of my next questions, and one of the questions that most white stags actually asked is, what is your, one of your best memories? I know you said it must have been amazing to work on changing a distillery, already starting and then building a distillery from scratch. Would you say that's your best memory, or that your favorite thing, or are there any other memories?
There are many memories, not only from the production side, but from the sales side too. I've seen other countries that I would never have seen before. I mean, Japan, France, all Denmark, all these places, Sweden, that I wouldn't have normally gone to. And just like yourself, Marella, I'm sure you enjoy going to these places as well and meeting people, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was part of the highlight as well. And Lucy Stousser and I made quite a few trips to Spain to source casks. And David Ferguson and I went to Kentucky and to New York and places like that. So I did a lot of traveling. That was an enjoyable part of the whole time that I was in Arran. So thoroughly enjoyed
the travel. Who doesn't enjoy the travel? I mean, one of the reasons I love my job is because the traveling, and also combined with whiskey, it's like a win-win situation. But I think it's also wonderful to see how a brand, like a whiskey producer on a tiny island in Scotland, gets so much love overseas, and so many people maybe have toured the distillery and they know the tour guides and they know their names. It's just fascinating, to see how far and wide, whiskey gets you. So.
Yes, and within the whiskey industry itself, everybody works together, and there's a great, what could I say, friendship between everybody.
Absolutely. So I had a few interesting questions from white stags as well. So obviously one was your first, what is your best memory? But another one is a little bit of a tricky one. I don't know if you want to answer it. It is, okay. what would you say is like, your favorite or your biggest achievement, or do you have any regrets?
No regrets whatsoever. And I've probably got to say I'm one of these people who never look back, and I've never got regrets.
That's how you live a long, good life. So that's a recommendation for life, like everybody should just live like that.
I mean, I've travelled. I mean, I've travelled from Isle of Arran, most of the time in the years I was in Arran, and Monday morning I caught the ferry. Friday afternoon I came back, and now at my age I'm thinking, how the heck did you do that? But it was enjoying the job that I did it for, because I thoroughly enjoyed the job.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it makes sense, total sense. I also have another like interesting question, which I think I'm going to ask to Stuart as well. And I think it's one of those that everybody wants to ask when a new master distiller or distillery manager is appointed. But when you joined Isle of Arran Distillers after your time on Isla, did you have a clear plan in mind? Like, did you already know like what you wanted to do with the spirit, with the distillery, the production? Or did you go with an open mind, like, took in everything and just made the decisions like day by day?
No, I would say I came in with an open mind, just to get a feel for Arran and what was required. And I've taken that to this step. And I would say to Stuart that he should have an open mind going forward as well, because people have got different ideas, and he has got to put his ideas into the way forward for Arran without looking too far back. And that's what I did. I went in there, looked at what was required, and with an open mind. And I think Stuart has got to the stage where Stuart has got to get in there with an open mind too, and see where he thinks he wants to bring the company to. And I think Stuart's going to thoroughly enjoy that. And I'm delighted. I'm delighted that Stuart that's actually going to do that.
Right, absolutely. So one last question before we actually bring Stuart on screen as well, so that you can tell him all those lovely things in person as well. What are your plans, James? Like this is a hot topic, when like a distillery manager and a master distiller leaves and then they go quiet for a while. What are your plans? If you want to share them.
I've really got no plans apart from waking up in the morning, stretching and saying, what am I going to do today?
That's it. Guys at home, folks, live a life, don't regret anything, stretch in the morning. That's all you need.
That is exactly it. And I mean, over these years, Mavis has been in Isla most of the time, so we're thoroughly enjoying our time together. We've got a pup now. It's about 9 months old, and we've got the other old dog. So I thoroughly enjoy taking them out walking in the morning. And I like DIY, so I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Well, that sounds absolutely dreamy and wonderful. So you deserve all of the peace and like all of the Isla love as well with your doggies and your family. So you definitely deserve it. So
I hope to see you all, and I keep in touch with you all. So
yeah, of course.
Let me do that.
James, you're getting so many messages. It's so many beautiful, lovely messages. I'm gonna try, before we bring Stuart in, I'm just gonna try and pick some, just so that you can read a few. But even all the white stags left you so many messages. Derek, Whiteford, and Carolyn, they left you like a big message as well. They said that you're a true gent, a good friend. We'll miss him in Lochranza, but we wish him all the best in his retirement. And obviously, thanks for all these years of hard work that you have done. I'm sure we all agree on that. Sarah,
I need to catch up with Derek for this game of golf.
There you go.
I hope my golf's going to improve.
Nice. Also, Sarah says, great to see you, James. Yeah, she had the pleasure to meet you in 2019 at the festival, and she has lovely memories. We have Graham, actually, from Blag, that says, I couldn't have asked for a better teacher than James. I feel grateful to have been able to work and learn under such a titan in the industry. It's a very sweet message. Thank you, Graham.
I paid him to say that.
I thought you did. I was like, this is unusual. Like, you asked him. Fair enough. It's okay. We also have Barry saying, thank you, James. You made my local distillery and whiskey one of the best in the country and the world. Wishing you all the best for the future. Let's just use one more Otherwise, it's like too many, really. It was a pleasure to meet James and discuss the similarities between Irish and Scottish Gaelic at a tasting at Astor Wine and Spirits in New York City a few years ago from Michael. So all the way to New
That's
York.
nice. Nice.
That's very nice. Right, now that you got all these love messages, let's just bring Stuart in so that I can ask questions to both of you. Shall we do that? Here we go. Hello, Stuart. How are you?
Very good, Mariella. How you doing? You okay?
Very good. Yeah, thank you for waiting patiently in the background.
No problem. Hey, James, how's it going?
I'm fine.
Good.
You're looking well, Stuart. You don't look too stressed yet.
No, not stressed at all. Island life is chill.
It's only been a few months.
Yep.
Right, guys, we tried a little bit of the 10-year-old. I put it on the side for now, and I'm actually going to pour myself a bit of the new make. I don't know if you want to do the same. It's because I actually have a question for you both while I pour myself a bit of this Arran new make. For those of you at home that have our new make, this is actually, it's not been cut, right? It's actually 69.1%, so it's not been diluted, so it's quite tough. So if you want to add a little bit of water, feel free to do so. It is a bit of a boozy new make, but it's also delicious new make. I had the pleasure of trying it many times before, and I'm sure you guys both tried it like a billion times before. So I actually have a question for both of you. Because I noticed when I joined the company, one of the mottos was, if you have a good quality spirit and you have good quality wood, then you're going to have a good quality product. And I think we live by that value and that motto like every day at Isle of Arran Distillers. So I wanted to ask you both if you agreed, first of all, and second, what do you think like makes our new make like in Lochranza Distillery more makes it unique or special or delicious, in my opinion?
What I've got to say about the new make, when I went to Arran, the new make had already been decided more or less what it would be. And I went in 2007, so it was 10, 11 years old, the new make. So it was something you didn't want to change. You would not want to change the new make, because what you would be doing then is it'd be another 10 years before you would know whether what you had done was successful or not. So at the very beginning, when a distillery starts up, they've got to pick what the new make is going to be, and they've got to basically spend a lot of time working out where the cuts are and everything, getting the right flavors. But then once you do that, you've got to keep with it, because if you don't keep with it and then change it through, you're going to change the whole picture of your new make spirit and your spirit. So you've basically got to do that. I think probably Stuart agrees with me there.
100%, yeah. Like you said, Mariella, we live and die by our quality. It's, you got to have good quality NMS, you got to have good quality wood, otherwise you're not going to get what we want out of it. And I think from a technical point of view, everything that we do up in the mashing, fermentation and still house, nice clean wort, long fermentations, very, very slow, very gentle still runs. It all pushes us right towards where we want to be, which is that really wonderfully fruity character that you get from the new make. But unusually, and something I'm not too familiar with, is there's a lot of like kind of zesty, citrusy aromas going on as well, which is really cool. And you really get that throughout a lot of the expressions that we have.
Absolutely. I love to start my tastings with the new make. I always have like James knows, because I bought them for a lot of new make bottles. Stuart, get ready.
Yeah.
For a lot of emails, a lot of samples requests. I just find it fascinating, just to let people try it, from scratch, because I think it's actually a delicious new make. And I think people that are watching it at home agree. I've been asked many times if we could bottle it at 63.5 or like a lowest strength, because it's a fantastic new make. So
Stuart's there doing the best thing to do with the new make is to rub it in your hands and then smell it. It's a good way of nosing the new make.
And fight COVID at the same time. I like that.
Yeah, totally.
69.1% natural hand sand right there.
That's why I think the distilleries have been COVID free, haven't they, Stuart?
Absolutely, yes, 100%
Yes.
COVID free.
Right. I have before we say a proper goodbye to James, I have a few cheeky questions from the White Stags actually. So I'm just gonna report back to you guys. One of my favorites actually was essentially for James is, did you, when you joined Isle of Arran Distillers, did Gordon, like our first master distiller, give you any tips or left you a recommendation? And what is the recommendation, or like what tip would you leave Stuart now that like enters the job and starts the job?
Well, one of the strange things, it was quite difficult to go from Gordon because he didn't really want anybody to encroach into his territory, so to speak. So I think for the first 2 months or so after I joined, all I was doing was painting the walls in the distillery.
Interesting.
because Gordon was not too keen in handing things over, although he had been, he knew he was going to retire, but he wasn't, he hadn't set himself up for retirement.
I see.
But Gordon was a lovely man. He was a lovely person, Gordon Mitchell.
I think you and Stuart have definitely a different relationship then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And what would you say if you had one good tip to leave Stuart before, like at the beginning of his career with Isle of Arran Distillers? What would you say?
As I said already, Stuart has to have an open mind in where he wants to see Arran, the direction Arran is going in, and although he's, Arran is in a very, very good place, Stuart needs to start taking it to the next level and maintaining the standards that are there. But he needs to put his own mark on Arran. That's Arran single malt, and I'm sure he's got things already planned, wood plans, and I've seen something coming in that day because I still get some odd emails. I see you've been getting some special cask from America, but yeah, you need to tell anybody about that, Stuart. But
yeah,
things changing.
We will ask him about it. We will pressure him to tell us what he's planning to do, how he's planning to like change things. And look, I'm joking. It's I love the freedom. I love I love how it's a small independent company. Each of us can imprint our own creativity, self skills, like ideas into the company, obviously in moderation, but it's wonderful to hear that Stuart also has freedom to choose and experiment and have fun.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and that's why we've been successful. And I've been I had the chance to do that. And there's very, very few distillery managers actually get the opportunity to do the whole sort of production, maturation, blending, everything. Very few distillery managers get the opportunity to do that. Most distillery managers nowadays only produce. They make the new make spirit and then send it off for somebody else to do the maturation and blending. So Arran, it's very, I'm sure Stuart will thoroughly enjoy that side of it. That he's got the opportunity to put his own mark on the spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have an opportunity to be able to, influence everything right the way from grain through to glass, which is it's really, really fun. But it was really great for me to spend time with you, James. I know it wasn't a huge amount of time because I just kind of started in November there, but I'm very grateful for the chats that we had, and that picking the White Stag bottling, which we'll look at later on tonight, was really good fun. I think the one thing that I really took from that was you trust your instincts 100%, and that's the biggest lesson I'm going to take from that. Good fun.
Well, I think with that, we should definitely raise a glass to James and just say a proper goodbye. James, just to let you know, when we gave the tasting packs away, we got around 600 emails from 600 White Stags, and most of them were, saying how much they enjoyed your work, how much they admired and respected your work, and how grateful they were of everything you've done. And I think we, as a company, join on that thought and just want to say thank you very much. And don't worry, we'll bother you. Even if you're retired, you can use that excuse. Like, you're like a public figure now. So just wait for that email and the phone call, okay? Jokes aside, thank you so much for joining us, James. Slange
No,
to you.
and slange to everybody.
Slange.
Slange back. Here's to you, James. Cheers.
Enjoy your retirement. What a man he is. What a man. He you know, he's always been a little bit reluctant, like, no, I'm shy, I don't want to talk, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as you ask a question, he just goes and talks. Like, it's just so wonderful to see him, like, relaxed, just talking away, like, sharing his thoughts. What a great man. What a great man.
Absolutely. He's so relaxed. I think that's the word. He's just so relaxed when he does everything. As Graham put it very nicely there, a titan in the industry. So he's going to be sorely missed, but he will be getting some phone calls, that's for sure.
We will bother him. We will bother him. So we actually, people at home, especially those of you with the tasting set, do tell us about the new make. Tell us if you enjoyed it or not. We saw some comments. I'm actually just quickly scroll through because I think we had a few questions. One of the funniest one I've seen while we were talking was, how long has your beard ever been, Stuart? Somebody wants to know. Someone is desperate to know, how long is your beard and what is the longest like ever been?
It's probably the longest it's ever been now, to be honest. It's not really something that I, what's the word? I tend to be perfectly honest. It just grows. I just let it and it grows. So yeah, it's good. I aspire to be a wizard when I grow up. That's what I'm going for.
You're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so, right?
at least now we know what to get you for your birthday, like wizard costume, a staff. So it's also
yeah, sorted.
People at home. Now you know if you're visiting the distillery and you want to drop off a present for Stuart.
Nice.
We also have another question from Derek. I don't know if you have the pleasure of meeting Derek and Carolyn yet, but I'm sure that you will soon, especially at the festival. Lovely couple, lovely people. And they just wanted to welcome you to Lochranza. Obviously, they look forward to meeting you. And their question is, what has been your biggest challenge since you have arrived in Lochranza? When did you arrive, actually, exactly? When did you move?
So I came across for an interview with James and Ewan, our managing director, in October, and I landed at the distillery 1st of November, actually. So not a huge amount of time at all. I think the biggest challenge I've had is moving the family over, I would say. I think that was the biggest, by far the biggest challenge. I mean, the distillery here is very well established. It's great. Between the admin guys, production, warehouse, visitor center, everybody kind of takes care of themselves. Like they know what they're doing. So I only really kind of need to dip in if there's, if the guys are having problems or anything like that. But yeah, I would say the biggest challenge was moving from the Highlands of Scotland to Isle of Arran, pretty much the length and breadth of the country, and moving away from all my, all our relations up north and stuff. But yeah, we're loving it on the island. It's an incredible place. I'm looking out the window just now at the glen that goes up to Lochranza, and it's just stunning, absolutely stunning.
No, I can imagine. I think it's something that you can get used to. Like, I definitely feel when I come over, like to visit the distillery or to meet you guys, it takes me possibly 2-3 hours, and then you just tune in on a different frequency, and all of a sudden, like, life seems like to go like slower. Like, it's a lovely, relaxing feeling, especially when you're coming from like the Glasgow chaos and then you just find yourself on. It's a very lovely feeling.
It is. It's a great place to unwind.
Yeah, definitely. We also had another question for you. I'm just taking advantage of the time now to actually one of the comments that needs to be shown is Graham calling you the Wizard of Whiskey. We got you a nickname already.
There we go. I'm stealing that officially.
Give us a year. Give us a year. We'll bottle. That's our new limited edition series. Merlin, I don't know. I can't think of any other wizard's name, but like we'll find it. We'll do it. The Wizard of Whiskey.
That sounds good.
No, I did find another question for you. It was one for James as well, which I can answer because he told me previously. But a question for you was, is there any particular type of cask that you prefer? Like whiskey-wise, it can be any cask, I imagine.
Wow, that's a good question. I love the kind of the freshness of a first fill bourbon. The character that you get from that, the kind of vanilla and the coconut, the sweetness. I think that works very, very well showcased in our 10-year-old and the barrel reserve as well, two expressions that we have. I haven't probably found a favorite cask. Let me work on that one. There's a good non-answer for you. Haven't got one yet, but we're working on. We've got cask coming from the States that I'm really excited about. We got cask coming over from France that are going to be really, really, really high quality and going to lend themselves to some really nice whiskeys. So yeah,
it's a hard question anyway. I think it's a very hard question to just pick the one. But James, I did ask him what was one of his favorite irons, off screen, guys. You were not there, but I did ask him. And he did say that he liked the old 14 that we all miss. Rest in peace, the old 14-year-old. So I imagine James is a fan of either bourbon cask flavors, like juicy flavors, or like a nice balance of the two, like the 10-year-old or the 14-year-old was. So I imagine if he was here, he would have said both of them. So a well balance between the two. I just put it like that. Refill sherry, refill bourbon together. Hopefully. Yeah. James, if that's not the right answer, you can sue me, or if you never see this, you'll never know. So So we are fine. Shall we try another whiskey? Shall we try the mystery cask, the very famous mystery cask? So we went from 10-year-old to new make, and now we go all the way to 16 years old whiskey. So we thought about adding this sample because it's one of those distillery exclusives that you only find out about if you actually come to Lochranza. So we thought it was a nice idea to share it with you guys and just see what you thought. It's also unusual to see a 16-year-old Arran whiskey bottled, especially a single cask strength. So it's a nice treat. And it's also a mystery cask, so we don't know what it is.
We've got a few theories at the distillery, but I'll let everybody make up their own minds.
Yeah, please do tell us. We won't tell you anything about the cask. So if you're at home enjoying this mystery cask, 16 years old, please do tell us. I can tell you that it's 58.6%. That's quite a high ABV for a 16-year-old, actually.
Yeah, really is. Yeah.
I had a little sample before. I have to say, again, I don't want to direct people's mind, but on the nose is super Moorish. It's very, very Moorish. It's a bit dark. I just put it like that. I don't want to say wine cask or but I'm saying wine cask.
It's definitely got a vinous characteristic to it. That's for sure. And an amazing sweetness on the palate. I hadn't actually noticed it until I just added a couple of drops of water there, but loads and loads of kind of stone fruits, apricots and nectarines and stuff like that on the palate. It's really, really juicy.
Oh, the palate is delicious. Yes, absolutely. Somebody is saying Sauternes. It could be. We will never find out.
Cool.
It could well be Sauternes. I don't think the thing that is very interesting about this is actually the color itself, because on the nose is a bit dark, and you get those, as you said, stone fruits and a bit of oakiness, like cedar oakiness. It's quite intense, but then the color is very light. So I think Sauternes is a good shout actually, because Sauterne wood doesn't give that much color. So good shout. Sarah also tried it. The New Year Eve, and her opinion is also wine cask, so maybe we're onto something. Graham is saying quite a punch off the mark, delicious though. Yeah, I wonder how it's changing with a little bit of water, but I'm actually enjoying it at 58.6%. It's
certainly got a good punch to it, and that's probably contributing a lot to that sweetness. The high amount of alcohol, the ethanol that's in there, is probably giving us quite a bit of Quite a bit of sweetness in there, but a little bit of water balances off that oils, I think, a bit, and it's just really Moorish.
Very Moorish, very dark. I do definitely get like a bit of dried fruits, like raisins, and it's a lovely black pepper, like freshly grounded black pepper spiciness going on, like tingling around, which makes me think of high tannins, which makes me think of possible wine, but it could be, I mean, wine is also super generic. So it could, I mean, it could be any fortified, red, white, orange. So we will never know. But tell us what you think. Tell us if you're enjoying it at home as well. So Verity is saying that is unusual and very tasty. She also thinks, or he also thinks it's a wine cask. Anthony, a very good white stag as well. He says, didn't manage to get a sample box, so he's just guessing that it's a Russian oil barrel. So that's
topical.
Sorry, Anthony. But if you come over for the festival, hopefully there'll still be some bottles waiting for you in Lochranza by then.
Yeah.
I think it's time to get to know you a little bit, Stuart. So I'm actually going to ask you a few questions about your career, about your personal life, so that people at home that never met you, they can actually get to know you a little bit better. So cool. First things first, how did you start in the industry? Like where this, like, love for whiskey, come from? What did you do before joining whiskey? Tell us a little bit in a nutshell. What have you been doing in your life so far?
Well, I would say I have lived a lot of my life in two very renowned whiskey areas. So I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. Myself and brother were born out there, and we obviously Kentucky is the bourbon capital of the world. There's a huge amount of whiskey made out there. But then moved in 1988 up to Brora, and was very fortunate to have Clynelish Distillery in the village. Had always had a major presence in there. I was the third generation. I started working up there eventually, but I've had two generations of my family that have worked between Brora and Clynelish Distillery. And I always remember driving past it on the way to school in the morning, and it's not the prettiest building in the world. It's one of the big SMD sites that were built in the mid '60s, but sits up on the hill there. It's very imposing, and I always, it always caught my eye. It was always something I was quite interested in, and then ended up down at Heriot-Watt University studying a pure chemistry degree and not really enjoying it a huge amount. But I had a very good friend of mine, Polly, who was doing the Brewing and Distilling course, the undergrad course in International Centre for Brewing and Distilling at Heriot-Watt. And, we got talking about it and stuff like that. And I kind of just enrolled, went into it, and just fell in love with the course. A really, really good mix of theoretical and practical type stuff. And graduated in 2006. Found myself working for a brewery up in Fraserburgh. I'm just looking out the window here. There's like a dozen deer just casually sauntering past the window. That's life on Arran for you. That's pretty cool. So I ended up working for joining Brewdog as a brewer in 2008. Stepped up to head brewer and spent about 8 years in that position, first in Fraserburgh and then in Ellen. Had a great time, made a lot of nice beer, a lot of good friends, and decided to leave the brewery 2016. And I joined Diageo as an operator at Cragganmore Distillery, which was great fun. I had a lot of fun there for just about a year and a half, working under a guy called Kevin Innes, another arguably titan in the industry, 43 years service in the industry, had worked pretty much every single distillery and most of the maltings that Diageo had. So he kind of mentored me into the stage where I applied for and got accepted for an operations manager position up at Clynelish, and then was very fortunate to land at the right time up there for the position of the Brora Distillery Manager. So the restoration of Brora Distillery had been shut down for 40 years. So spent 3 or 4 years with that project team. Had a great time. Got the distillery up and running, commissioned it and everything, and had a lot of fun. But really wanted to, as James talked about earlier on, wanted a little bit more of it, more of the kind of the blending side and the sensory side of things, because that's what really interested me, especially at the brewery. Did a lot of work with the kind of sensory analysis side of things. So through a mutual acquaintance, we found out that Isle of Arran Distillers were looking for distillery manager here at Lochranza. And as I said, came over for an interview in October. I was here in November and moved my family over in December. So it all happened very, very quickly. But, like we were talking about earlier on about kind of trusting your instinct, like as soon as I came in here and I met the team and, got to know the whiskies a little bit better and stuff like that, I just knew it was the right place for me. I knew it was the right fit. Very, very friendly, very open, but everybody has such a good sense of purpose, and Lag Distillery as well as Lochranza Distillery in terms of what they're doing and why they're doing it. So, yeah, just felt really right.
That's amazing. I think we have a few people that want to. I mean, it's a great CV. I think you've hidden the right spots at the right time, like it looks like. So, especially the Clynelish brewer, I found that amazing. And then Arran, I mean, it's, as I said before, I've only joined 3 years ago, and it seems like there's a new exciting thing coming out every 3-4 months. So it's a very good time, to be joining. We have a few people I think they want to say hi. We actually have Bob Torrance and John Rogers watching from Sky up on a maintenance visit and joined the dram.
Nice one, excellent. How you doing?
Yeah, and then Georgie saying, "Hi Bob and George, we're meeting you from Ireland."
Oh, Georgie.
So
hi, Georgie.
We have an island. We have people from all the islands on the west coast just saying hi to each other from north to south, which is wonderful.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Old friends. Yep.
Nice. So, well, you covered a lot of also your time on Arran, which has been brief, but we hope it's going to be very long, in the future. So only just a few more questions actually that the White Stags wanted to ask you. I think one of those you already kind of answered before. It was, are you going to walk in with an open mind or not? How do you see Lochranza changing? So I'm just going to wrap it all up and saying, is there anything that you could maybe reveal, or any little thing that you idea or something that you would like to apply to the production, or something that you want to experiment with that you can also share already? Or should we just leave it all a secret for people to discover when the right time comes?
I think the headline that I'd like everybody to kind of appreciate is the fact that I'm not rolling around here changing stuff. The Arran new make and all of the whiskey that comes from that is fantastic. It's really, really high quality. And I think quality is it's our focal point. It's everything we do. So the main thing for me is being able to maintain that. And it's, distilleries tend to find their own paths. We make arguably an agricultural product. The water changes, the malt changes, the yeast changes to a certain extent as well. Obviously the kind of ambient temperature and the environment changes. So we need to be mindful of all that and kind of try to keep all of those things constant so that we are keeping the quality of the new make constant. That's really the main thing. And I did see a few questions earlier on about, are you going to modernize the distillery and stuff like this? But it's not about that. It's about making sure that new make that we have rolling off of those stills is perfect. Because if we don't have that, we don't really have anything. So that's my main focus. I think I would love to do some experimentation somewhere down the years, but right now my head is very much in getting to know the production team and the process here at Arran, because it's unique as far as I can see. I came in here and I didn't quite understand the way that the guys were doing things, but the last thing I want to be doing is coming in and saying, right, I think we should do it like this, and then the new make changes, and then everything goes to pot. So yeah.
No, I think it takes time, and it's also it's an adjusting, it's definitely an adjusting period. But as you said before, I think the guys, I also find that the guys on Arran, the team on Arran, have their own way of working, but they also listen. If you have new ideas, or if you have if you find a way to do things better or faster, they're like, we're all very friendly, like, with each other, like, we all do listen to everybody's opinion, which is good. So I imagine for the guys, for you guys, the team at the distillery is the same. So they welcome a little bit of change, especially if it makes people's life and work easier and better.
Yeah, I mean, there are some systems that we use in the distillery, not like kind of process related, but more like kind of admin and stuff like that have been here since 1995. So, updating some of those things and make people's lives easier, that's absolutely where a lot of my focus is just now. And we have a unique set of challenges. Well, it's probably not unique, especially looking at kind of distilleries on the islands and stuff like that, but we certainly have a lot of challenges when it comes to like kind of transportation and stuff like that. So there are some things that we are working on just now to try and make things a little bit smoother here. And as I said, at some stage, if we want to do a little bit of experimentation with the wood and stuff like that, then that'd be really cool. We've got a few meetings next week over in head office where we're going to be talking a little bit about some of that. So hopefully be able to share some of those things soon with everybody.
Exciting. Yeah, super exciting. I'm so looking forward, especially because I know your love for beer. Not that I'm saying anything, but just because I love, I really like, your enthusiasm for like beer and fermentation and other things. So I'm super excited to see like, what the future brings. So, and I just want it to be a complete surprise. I'm not hinting to anything, like absolutely hinting to anything here, okay? Because I actually don't know about, what you're going to talk about, the meeting and everything. So there are no hints here, just a personal fun girl, like hope. That's what I'm saying. It's all me, it's all personal. It's not Isle of Arran Distillers talking right now. Yeah. I think we have the best comment of the whole night, which is from your mom and dad. They want to say hi.
Hello, Ebola.
Hello, Elizabeth and Dad. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
We have Lucy, our colleague that is welcoming to the team, and I don't know if you met him in person yet, but I hope
I haven't unfortunately yet. I think next week we've got some sessions set up to do some sampling next week. So yeah.
I hope you meet the rest of the teams. They're lovely people.
Looking forwad to it.
We have Jane saying good luck from Cornwall, and then we have one last question before we move on to the White Stag tasting. Is Whiskey Lovers Society is actually, will we see anything older than 25 years in the future? I think it's something that we're working towards with time, but I mean, we released a 25 years old whiskey. We released a 25 years old year whiskey core range product at 46% each year now. It's bottled every September-ish, like autumn. And we did release some 25 years old single casks. Obviously, it's a small company that started small and is slowly growing, so there's not like billions of casks that we can choose from. But I think I speak for everyone when I say that we hope to bring obviously older age statements, in the years to come when the time is right. So we'll just wait and see, watch this space, and then you'll see when something happens, it will happen. So a lot of people are saying best of luck to you. John is asking about experimentation regarding yeast. I didn't mention it like that. We're not hinting to anything. Again, there's nothing that we can say so far. Nothing that we can,
No, but experimentation with yeast is a very underutilized tool in the Scotch whiskey industry.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what the future brings for sure. So now, just for those of you at home, so that you understand, especially if you joined maybe like later and you missed a bit about the White Stag tasting pack, we did actually send 35 tasting packs to some lucky winners, White Stags, so our whiskey friends of the community, of the Arran fans, essentially. It's like our own like community. So 35 people have the chance to actually try a preview of White Stag Volume 7, which will come out around June, and it will be like classically like around maybe like less than 1,000 bottles available, but it will come out like in the next few months. And we'll also try the casks that make the White Stag Volume 7. So if you're interested in White Stag volumes and you want to know what's going on, this is your time to like listen carefully to what we're trying and what we're actually putting together for you, White Stags. So what do we do? Because we have two single cask samples, and then we have the Wild Stag preview. So I was thinking of trying the oldest and lightest in ABV cask first, then move on to the second cask, and then try the preview. Do you think that's a good way of doing it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Right. So the first cask sample we try is the 97-233. It's bottled at 51% ABV. Obviously, it's just a cask sample, so it's filtered and colored, just straight out of a cask into a sample bottle for you. Yep. And it is an old puncheon. So as some of you know, our casks from the 90s and also like early 2000s, we don't really know exactly what type of wood it was. So just like with the Miscary cask, if you want to guess, you're more than welcome to try and guess what type of wood it is. But we know for a fact that it's a puncheon in size. So most likely possibly a refill sherry, but we don't know for sure. So
would guess at that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just putting myself some. In the meanwhile, Johan, another lovely Wild Stag member, is wishing you welcome to Arran, the Wild Stag family.
Thank you, Johan.
Okay, let's give it a try. 1997. That's an old cask, considering the first ones we built were in 95.
What I like here is it's an old cask, but there's still a lot of distillery character in there. Like, I get a lot of that kind of orchard fruits and orange zest. There's still, despite it's been sitting in wood for quite a while, you would imagine wood to be the dominant characteristic in there, but it really has a nice bit of balance.
I mean, on the nose, it's just automatically old school sherry Arran. If you try that like 90s cask, I think the nose is just like spot on 90s like sherry Arran. It just is not too much, not too intense, but it's like the perfect level, the perfect balance of like intensity and fruitiness and floralness is just delicious.
Yep.
I love like how, like, we tried the Arran 10. If you had the chance to try an Arran 14 or like 16 before, I love how those oranges are like super juicy, super like, intense. And then when it gets to this age, it's almost like orange blossom, like orange water, just so subtle and delicate on the nose. And you get those beautiful floral, like blossoming, like flower spring sort of like notes. It's just delicious.
Yeah, that's a good shout. Floral. There's a lot of floral character in there. Very light and fragrant.
Yeah, the palate is what I would call fruit juice. It just goes down.
That's accurate.
It just goes down so well. It's just beautiful. Like a little bit of the alcohol, a bit of like the tannins from the oak, very gentle. Like it's just very good cask. Even if it was bottled on its own, I think I would have definitely enjoyed that. I think we both had that conversation before. Where, like, I think we're both fans of casks that don't overpower, like, too much, in which the whiskey shines. I think that's like a perfect example of that style of whiskey. So.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's nice. It's got it. Yeah, like I said, it's got some real strong distillery characteristics in there, which I really like. And then in order to kind of make the vat, we picked something else that was it was myself and James that were in warehouse too. We went through, we picked these casks, which was a really cool experience for me to be able to kind of pick James's brains in terms of how he does that. And again, it was all just about instinct. He just nose to the glass straight away, and we went through about half a dozen different casks, and he was like nah, and he got that one. And we loved it, but we wanted something as well that had a little bit more mouthfeel to it, a little bit more wood characteristic, and that's kind of where that second cask came from.
Nice. Yeah. I can totally see this being the base, like for, like, like something else, like, to be added upon, if you know what I mean. It's like a very good, strong, like, root, like just a very strong base for like, something else to add on. So shall we
Definitely.
try the second cask?
Yeah, let's go for the 2012.
I love how somebody said, hard to think 1997 was 25 years ago. Yeah, I know.
Right?
Time definitely flies.
Yeah. So you can see straight away the color difference. So that's the 97, that's the 2012. So very,
Absolutely.
very powerful color.
So this is another puncheon.
Yep.
So another puncheon, but obviously here the sherry is pretty, as you said, like, it's pretty obvious. So
Thank you, Richard.
So Sarah said, so much depth, the finish on it is divine. I was stand when he was putting the cat. I love how now everybody is telling everybody else how old they were in 1997. I love this.
Yeah, I know, right?
Fred was 2. Sarah was 10.
Yeah, so heavy sherry influence here, as you can kind of see from the color, and a lot of wood. That's kind of, I do like sherry finishes, but it's the wood influence that really interests me. That kind of Spanish oak, European oak, a lot of cinnamon, dark fruits, spicy cloves, maybe a little bit as well. So,
I mean, I am freezing here in Stirling. I can tell you, for some reason, the heating is not working, and I can see snow outside and hear the wind. And man, this dram was made for this moment. It's just a nice warming. Yeah, it's beautiful right now. It's like perfect, just spot on for this moment right now. Also, if anybody's listening from the office, why is the heating not working? Thank you very much. Let me know.
Yeah, right. And 59% as well, so still packs a lot of punch, but yeah, cherries and raisins and just really, really, really lush.
It's actually, for being, I know that we had a few drams so far, but for being 59.4, I actually think the palate is very creamy. Like, like you can tell, that there's a high, like alcohol percentage, but on the palate it's actually very coating, like it coats like very well, and it's very creamy, kind of sticks to the side of your tongue, like it's very chewy. That's what I'm trying to say, like it's kind of
chewy.
It's a nice chewy, not too much, but like very well balanced sherry. Like it's not a sherry bomb as such, but it's definitely like a good amount of sherry in this, I think.
Yeah, so like a nice bit of like kind of oily texture there from the new make, but probably a bit of tannins from the wood as well. Just kind of giving it a really bit, and that's what we were looking for, because the aroma on 97 was really nice. It was really interesting. Loads of really cool stuff there, but we just felt the palate was just a little bit flat. So adding this kind of, you were talking about like a kind of like a bass layer. James compares everything to music. So I've seen them talk quite a lot about like you kind of like the drum beat and the bass notes and then the rhythm guitar and lead guitar and vocals and all that type of stuff. I think it's a really good analogy, because you do have several different layers in there, of which a lot of this one is a lot of bass notes for me, with sherry, heavy aromas.
Before we try the 2 casks together for the White Stag, I just want to read out some of the comments. Thank you for engaging with us and sticking around, to the tasting as well. Thank you very much, guys. Richard is saying the wood gives it a luxury taste, warm, subtle, but once you swallow, then it's got a good kick.
Yeah, totally. That's a good summary.
Sarah is saying it reminds me of the chewy toffee you used to hit with a mini hammer. I am.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
I am confused by this, but only thing because I didn't grow up in the UK.
It's called teeth crunchers. It's a very, very hard type of toffee, and I get a lot of that. There is a lot of burnt caramel toffee, aromas in there. That's a good check.
Gregory saying spicy plums, lovely. Yeah, definitely. Steven is saying it's stereotypically Arran. Lovely. That's good. Richard would give you a nice taste of luxury. Ed is saying, don't often get to experience whiskey for my birthday year. Let me tell you, Ed, like if you're interested in buying whiskeys of your birthday, do it now, because the longer you wait, the harder it is. So it's also your 25th, so there'll be a lot of 25-year-old whiskeys coming out from 97. This is your year. Make sure you grab those those bottles in time.
Definitely.
Graham is saying lovely winter fruit spice, beautiful sherry. Totally agree. Jimmy Andrews saying fantastic. And that's exactly how you wrote it, by the way. That's exactly
fantastic.
Fantastic. John Lamb saying, when you get to my age, 97 was yesterday. Josh is saying delicious. Somebody else is like enjoying other whiskey as well. Like Michael is still enjoying the Amarone cask, which is one of my absolute favorites. So I'm glad you're loving it, Michael. That's a very good whiskey, which is gonna be bottled soon again in spring. So if you're looking for our wine cask finishes in your market and you can find them, don't despair. They'll be there in a couple of months. You'll see them again on the shelves. So they're definitely coming out.
There will be. We're selecting the cask just now.
Yeah. So just to quickly answer one last question before we move on to the White Stag, Whiskey Lovers Society is saying, did you see an increase in sales after winning the online Scotch Whiskey Awards last year? First of all, thank you very much for all the people that voted for us. It was fantastic news, like, to know that people actually voted for our 10-year-old. I don't think it's easy to see exactly how the sales are doing just based on that award alone, because the 10-year-old is essentially the best-selling, one of our best-selling products in the core range. But we definitely appreciated the support and the love, and it's I think it's been wonderful to being acknowledged by consumers, without any filter whatsoever. So again, thank you very much if you voted for us, and thank you for enjoying our Arran 10-year-old. So thank you. Scott Bain is saying, great to have Stuart's passion, calmness, and experience in Lochranza.
Calmness.
See, you're already joining, like, the Lochranza sort of, like, you're already like adapting.
Establishing my calmness throughout the distillery. That's good. I'll build that into a team motto at some stage.
Nice. Let's move on to the final dram.
Yeah.
What everybody was waiting for. So White Stag Volume 7. Obviously, this is a preview. There might be, slightly changes, between now and when we actually bottle it. This sample is bottled at 55.3%. It's a mixture of two pensions. As I said before, it's gonna be roughly like a little bit less than 1,000 bottles, and Jackie informed me that it will most likely come out in June or around June time. But as you know, if you're a West Stag, you know that once we have more information, we will send an email and newsletter out so that we will inform you as soon as we can, what are the plans. Let's try.
This is my absolute favorite type of dram. It's a roller coaster. Every single time you smell it or taste it, you're getting something a little bit different. It's very, very complex. Again, that was the kind of logic behind using that 97 with the really, really nice kind of aromatic notes in there, and the 2012 that had a lot of really good kind of wood elements. But yeah.
Oh, they blend in so well. Like that palette is oof. Very, very tasty. It's like, it's almost as if you picked, like, it still holds the palate trueness of the cask from 2012, but it has this like new layers of, like, of flavors of fruitiness from the 97. So it's very, very well, mixed.
Absolutely. That's one thing that James did talk a lot about, was balance, making sure that things are, you've got your aromas and your flavors in there are balanced. And it's the same if you're making beer or wine or whiskey or whatever it is. You want that balance in there. Had a really nice moment actually in the kitchen next door. We'd been out to the warehouse. We got a couple of samples of these. We had kind of vatted them together in the ratios that they were, because the casks both got slightly different volumes in them, and I looked out the window, and this sounds like I'm making it up, but hand on heart, swear to God, it wasn't. Looked out the window, and there was a golden eagle circling above the dam. I just looked out the window, and I was like, "My God, that's a big bird." And James, true to form, didn't even bat an eyelid. He was like, "That's just one of those golden eagles, Stuart. Don't worry about it." I was absolutely astounded. It was quite a nice moment.
I hope you will never reach that level of, it's just a golden eagle. I hope you'll stay excited because I am like that. When I come to Arran and I see a deer, I've seen billions by now, but I still have to stop.
Absorb the moment a little bit. Yeah.
I still have to go like, oh.
Yeah, you're so close to a lot of incredible wildlife and stuff like that up here. It's a really special place.
Definitely. I hope you'll never get tired of like getting excited of like wildlife and the beauty of the island, because it's amazing. It's a very beautiful island. So I imagine then that you're settling in well, and your family is settling in well and slowly discovering the beauty of the island. You joined at a hard time, winter, but the good days are coming.
Yeah, we're patiently awaiting the arrival of spring. I think that's a fair comment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, guys, tell us in the comments what you think about the Stag Volume 7. If you're looking forward to it, I personally think that it's a great dram. I actually really like them, like those two casks mixed together. I think they're both amazing on their own, but together there's also like a little bit of tropicality that I didn't get before, like in the two drams separate. But here, like the fruitiness is much more juicy, and I do get a bit of I don't want to say mango, but there's definitely like a bit of like very juicy like apricot, so like very juicy peaches, together with a bit of the dark spiciness and like dark tannins from the cask from 2012. I think it's wonderful mix. So it's a great first Stag for you, Stuart.
Yeah, it was great. It was such a fun experience picking the casks out with James, and it was something that I'll. Certainly. I didn't get to spend as much time with him as I really wanted to, but he was really cool guy, very relaxed, and just approaches everything from a really simple point of view, which I think takes a lot of the pressure out of it, because there's pressure in there, picking casks, going out to a lot of places, and adding my stamp to the Lochranza Distillery. So
yeah. Well, I'm just gonna send you some. I'm just gonna read out loud some lovely comments. First of all, I agree with Graham completely. You definitely picked the winner. So you passed your test. We can all say you passed your test. Absolutely perfect.
Dances on the tongue. Yes.
Absolutely perfect. The dances on the tongue. Yeah, good for everything. Absolutely. Yeah. Adam is saying, wow, 55.3% and mellow. I want to keep this in my mouth forever. Yeah. Very great texture. I agree completely. The Stag preview is everything I want from an Arran whiskey. It has depth, it has so much richness, and all the right flavors are there with the classic Arran coming through on the palate. Very good dram.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah. A fabulous addition to the Stag volumes. Clever combination of the two casks. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks, Verity.
With a bit of wizardly magic there, Stuart.
There we are. Starting already.
That's it. Lovely whiskey, perfect balance with rich sherry tones. I'm kind of jealous, not able to try it, but treat myself with a nice 18-year-old. Looking forward. That's a great dram to treat yourself.
Fantastic whiskey. Yes, enjoy.
Fred, also from Lag, is loving it. Got everything I wanted on whiskey, nice and sherry and complex. Bit of chocolate too. Also, it's missing a bit of peat. Yeah, Fred is one of our lovely tour guides at Lag Distillery. So if you're into your peated whiskey and if you want a very good tour and a very good chat, make sure you go to Lag and speak to Fred. Lovely guy. Gavin is saying, I love the Arran whiskey, great drams, especially the 10-year-old and the sherry cask. I love the design of the bottle. You love everything. This is wonderful. I love the way you also use Bray on the label, the coordinates on the bottle. Oh, wow. That's like attention to detail.
Yeah.
To try that 25-year-old. Keep up the good work. And James, get in contact with me. Okay. James, get in contact with Gavin. Last one is from Gregor. Lots of layers, very complex. Welcome, Stuart, and thanks for your time. And I think I'll join on that comment to say it is so wonderful to have you on our team. Welcome, Stuart, and thank you so much for your time tonight. And I'm seriously looking forward to seeing, like, what's coming out in the future. So, Slange to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everybody's time. Appreciate you joining and having a dram with us.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us from home, and we look forward to seeing you on the island or seeing you at the festival or another ritual event. Keep well, keep safe, keep enjoying your whiskies, and see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Slán Cheers.
Cheers.
Your
Bye.
health.